Hello, welcome to Invictus Motors. We've got this beautiful Porsche 911. It's a Carrera 4S and this is from 2014. It's the 991.1 4S. And this video is going to be basically about why one should buy the 991.1, what it sounds like, what it drives like, and ultimately what an amazing spec this one has that is in our stock. And if you are going to want something to cherish, to drive around every single day, to put loads of miles on it, and that's going to put an absolute smile on your face, then this is the one. Purely because the spec is absolutely unbelievable. Starting from that sport design front bumper with that more aggressive lower sport design lip there at the bottom. You've got the more aggressive side skirts, and you've got 911 Carrera 4S decals there. And I love this two-tone 20-inch Carrera S alloys finished in black. And really the business end of this Porsche 911 is this rear end with the ducktail, that wider 4S body with the switchable sports exhaust system. And just one more time, I've unlocked it to take you through into the inside, but that LED strip running from one end to the other end of these rear LED lights looks absolutely stunning. It's the business end of things. And on the inside, you're welcomed by this big, huge, gorgeous glass roof. Once that is opened, I mean, you've almost got the Targa feel to this glass roof. You know, the Targa glass roofs that you found on the Porsche 911, the 993s, the 996 and the 997s, starting from sort of 1991 until 2012. And on the inside, you've got the best of both worlds, both a coupe car with a glass roof and a coupe Porsche 911. On the inside, you've got the sports steering wheel with paddle shifts, cruise control. You've got the sports exhaust button, Sport Plus with PSM with a Chrono Plus package. You've also got the heated seats. This has got the full-on carbon package as well that you find there on the side of the doors, on the front dash. You've got the Sport Seats Plus. They're four-way electrically adjustable. And then these sport seats have got this hardback casing to it. And you've got the good old school 911 2+2 layout with the two seats at the back. I'll push this back. And if you're somebody that is all up for practicality in a sports car, not only have you got two seats at the back of the 911, you've got this big boot at the front where you can put two medium-sized suitcases alongside having plenty of other room for bags, shoes, etc., especially if you're going to be doing a trip. And actually behind the two back seats there at the back, you've got more space there to tuck just bits and pieces in there. But it's this rear end. To me, if this is parked on my driveway or in my garage, seeing this very unique looking Porsche 911 with this full-on ducktail sport design kit alongside that really front aggressive end, this is it. This is all anyone would wish for in a Porsche 911. And yeah, just really happy to have it here. And being able to do this video on it. So the next thing naturally I want to be doing is jumping inside and going out for a test drive in this and just getting it to sing and sound this exquisite sound that the Porsche 911 has. Normally the most exciting feature in one of these for me is to actually crank it up, start it up. But what I wanted to show you is this having the Apple CarPlay that's been installed. So you can click on Google Maps and all your routes are here, your Spotify, and basically just makes it so modern and so up to date, having the simple pleasure of Apple CarPlay. But back to the business of reviewing this, so let's start it up. Initially my aim is just to nurse it through from this cold start. Turn off that stop start. I never like that being on and you know the engine just cutting off. And the good thing about the Apple CarPlay is that you've obviously you know, you've got the standard classic PCM that comes from Porsche. So having the Apple CarPlay doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking away that classic look or the original PCM that comes from Porsche. So a great feature to have. Now that we're moving, we're driving a little bit, what I want to be able to do is just pull up just for a second there, and I'm going to turn on the sports exhaust. Well, firstly, it being off, I'm just getting you to hear what it sounds like, and then turning on that sports exhaust so you can actually hear what it sounds like. And hopefully, I've got the microphone here, not at the back, so hopefully you can hear some of that exhaust. So it sounds like standard. Turn that on. Those valves, I could hear it opening up. I don't know how much of it you can hear, but this being a 3.8 litre naturally aspirated 4S, really, in my opinion, it is the best Porsche from an experience point of view could really offer. I'm going to close that glass roof so that you're not hearing the sound. I'd rather have you hear the engine, and hopefully you can hear some of it. So really, from the proper naturally aspirated engine that Porsche has to offer across their 911 platform, the 991.1 was the last of it. After the 991.1, from 2014 onwards, they became 3 litre twin turbocharged. So unfortunately, no longer the ability of these coming in as a standard 911 as naturally aspirated. So it takes away from its capacity to sound like this. And right now, I mean, you've really got to be in this cabin space to hear this like soul searching, this soul defining sound that is so synonymous with Porsches and Porsche 911 specifically, ever since their first Porsche, which is the 356 in the early 50s, and then the 911s being launched in 1963. That pedigree, not just when it was first introduced, but that was continuously refined as an engine. I mean, I think they really wrap it up in 2015 incredibly well with the 991.1. There's a lay-by that we normally come to, so I'm just going to pull over. And the PDK transmission, boy oh boy, it works so well. 7-speed PDK transmission, in German it's called Doppelkupplungsgetriebe, in other words called dual clutch transmission. The only thing you don't have is a clutch pedal. Ultimately, this is just a clutchless manual transmission. So it works seamlessly well, and it works so well that the GT3 and the GT3 RS of this generation Porsche 911s only came with a PDK transmission. So you could imagine how highly thought after this transmission was by Porsche. And I love that little feel of carbon being around the gear selector. And again, another emphasis on this 911 that this is just so sweetly spec'd, and just from factory, looking the way it looks, it's absolutely jaw-droppingly beautiful. Yes, it's just, you know, clocked over 80,000 miles. Even if you do another 20,000 miles, this would still be worth in that 40,000 pound mark and above. So just again, a proof that something like this doesn't depreciate how people think you know, cars would depreciate. You know, take the Range Rovers for example, or some of the newer BMWs, and that's purely down to the fact that there is so many iterations, so many generations of the Porsche 911s before the 997.2, before that the 997.1, before that the 996.2, then the 996.1, and the 993s, and the early 993s, and the 964s, and the G-body 911s, and the original 911s. It just goes on and on and on. But really, from all the Porsches ever built from the early 50s, in terms of something that is produced by Porsche as a business, not the GT department like the GT3 or the GT4 department, I think the 991.1 is that accumulated, well put together in terms of a car, and that is just a phenomenal finale. Because the 3-litre twin turbocharged, yeah, I mean, I've done reviews on it and I can make it sing and sound absolutely incredible. But if you're somebody at your core, at your heart, you are like a Porsche guy, then this is really all you're ever going to need. 3.8 litre naturally aspirated Boxer 6 engine. This produces 395 brake horsepower, 440 Newton meters of torque, mainly weighing 1,520 kilograms. So you can imagine that extra axle. And in terms of the bhp per kilogram, this produces 3.8. Just in terms of bhp per kilogram, it's 3.8 kilograms per brake horsepower, and the top speed being a phenomenal 186 miles per hour. And hopefully I'm getting this 0 to 62 miles per hour speed right, but this does it in 4.5 seconds. But it's this. And right now the roads are a bit wet, a bit slippery. We've got to be careful. But it's a Porsche 911. It still does a phenomenal job handling. This being the 4-wheel drive, you've got that extra stability because it's a slightly wider, and that 4-wheel drive system isn't sort of a permanent system. I mean, it's really only kicking in at the front when it's needed, when it's required. Other than that, you're still getting that really pure drive, rear wheel drive engine behind that rear axle in a 911 that you're meant to be getting in a Carrera S. But from a safety, wet road, snowy road, icy roads point of view, you've got the best of both worlds. And over all the generations of Porsches we've ever had, I mean, we're talking about having, GT3RS in stock, the 993s. The only thing we've not really had in stock is probably one of my other favorites, is a 964, but blame Singer for them becoming so expensive. The G-body 911s, we've basically have had everything, you could potentially imagine here at the dealership. And the 991.1 really is the ultimate sweet spot. And if you're somebody that can live with the worry of a 997.1, them getting their liners, or the amount of expenses that comes with it, if it's not sort of well looked after, well maintained, or prepped properly by a dealer, then I'd say the 997 is really the .1 is really something. But if you want something that's modern, that can live in that 21st century day in and day out, but also feel like a proper classic 911, and sound like this, and this is effortless. This is genuinely effortless. We're talking about doing 50 miles per hour in the 3rd or the 4th gear and dropping a couple of gears, and off you go, singing like just the best thing in the world. My colleague Gray is an absolute fan of the 911s, and she's here filming behind the camera, and she's got a massive smile on her face whilst I take this through its paces. So even though I'm in this countryside road sort of traffic, can't really get above sort of 45 to 50 miles per hour, it still gives you enough space to hold back a little bit, press your foot and use that throttle pedal like you're meant to. And you know, this is the sort of 911 that I could genuinely get out of bed every single day, drive it, and put it away and wake up in the morning with a big broad smile on my face and drive it again. And I would. And with the mileage it's done, I really think that this is a blessing that somebody has been using their sports car as opposed to not using it and just, you know, it just collecting unnecessary wear and tear on the seals and around the car, because ultimately these cars are designed to be used, they're designed to be driven, they're designed to have miles put on, and it doesn't help it if you're just going to be storing it away and finding something like this over, you know, almost 10 years later, having done 20,000-30,000 miles, because you're not going to really get, you know, your money's worth on a car like that if it's just stood and parked and not driven. You're going to get your money's worth if you're going to drive it, if you're going to use it, if you're going to make sure that it puts this big smile on your face. And ultimately, if you do lease a couple of bobs on it, 5 grand on it, you've experienced the best thing the motor world really has to offer, a Porsche 911. And my friend, this is me done presenting, test driving this 911. Yeah, this is me done presenting this Porsche 911. I'll hand it over to Gray to do a short 60-second video for our Instagram and just get back in. And yeah, thank you for watching the video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch our other videos on both the Invictus Porsche and in the Invictus Motors page. Thank you. Bye-bye. Just want you to listen to this exhaust one more time, now that it's nice and warm. It's just such a good sound.